This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out, out, out.
Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. My name is Anthony Nicolosi.
I'm Skylar Sokol.
And today we're joined by the mighty Joe Winter, solo dev on Song of Iron, and recently announced, still solo dev, Joe? Still solo dev?
Still solo dev.
Still solo dev on the even mightier Song of Iron 2.
Woo!
Joe, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
How you feel? So yesterday, the trailer, the Song of Iron 2 trailer dropped as part of the ID at Xbox showcase, correct?
Exactly.
A very super hype trailer. I will say, if you're interested in playing Song of Iron, and we'll get into Song of Iron here a little bit in a sec, you may not want to watch the trailer per Skylar, because Skylar actually stopped. I'm gonna get spoiled, whatever. But it's awesome. It's awesome. You guys killed it with that trailer. I was legitimately so hyped. You can ask my wife. I was playing the music over and over again. I was trying to figure out how to keep it on loop, because I love the music. Will Goss killed it.
Yeah.
But she made me turn it off. Yeah. She's like, it was like 9:45. She's like, I'm trying to go to bed. So yeah, how you feeling, Joe? Excited after the reveal right now? Where are the feelings?
I'm relieved more than anything.
Really?
I mean, it's just like I've been sitting on that trailer for months, and that show had gotten pushed back kind of, so I was just waiting to get out and start talking about it. But I am excited. I mean, it's awesome to have it out. It's awesome for people to finally see it. Response was really positive. A ton of people were really excited about it, and I released that little demo to go with it, and so people have been playing that, and I've been hearing a lot of good feedback from that. So just all up, super super happy.
Now, on that note, to play the demo, you want to go to songofiron.com and sign up for the newsletter, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep. And sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll get the soundtrack for free, which is awesome, because the soundtrack's awesome.
Anthony,
there
from the first one. Yeah. So now you can play it on loop constantly. Then you'll get a key for Steam for the demo. The key will come anywhere from an hour to 24 hours later. So I kind of have to manually do it, but
Oh, it's a manual key set process?
Well, I have to export the people that don't have it out. And then I put all the keys in a list, import it in, and then send it away.
Okay.
We can talk. We don't need to talk about this. No one knows how to do this on the internet. No one can automatically
Python scripts for Joe. Man. We gotta write some Python scripts for Joe.
Everyone, apparently.
For everybody, apparently.
There's nobody. So,
okay. We'll keep that in mind. Maybe we'll.
You might have to wait a little bit, but it'll come. I'm not holding back.
Cool.
Right.
I'm gonna subscribe right now, and I won't expect it till after the podcast.
At least after the show.
Okay, Joe. So let me actually, before we jump into full-on Song of Iron 2 hype, I kind of want to step back, because I am very, very legitimately, we're making a game, we're working on a game, chipping away little by little. You were on a GDC talk this past year with a bunch of other solo devs, and you guys talked about a few things that were interesting. One, I'm forgetting the gentleman's name now, but he made this point of the post-release blues, how you're going to release it, and after it comes out, you have these really high expectations, and sometimes they can let you down. We released one trailer one time on intentionally targeted in a very niche way to our community, blah, 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 blah. But even then, the emotions, so
Anthony was very up and down after that trailer.
Oh, man,
how was that?
Launching was honestly the most roller coaster of emotions I've ever had in my life. I've gone through plenty of stuff. But it's just, you just don't know how to feel, and your brain sends you in every direction. And I mean, I was like super excited, and then I was like, "What the fuck did I do? I think I made a mistake." Like, I went the whole gamut, both sides, and honestly, it took me months to recover.
Really?
And like, yeah, I mean, really.
From like, in what way? Like, things were more disappointing than you expected. They just didn't.
Yeah. It's this mixed thing, right? So you've been like crunching no matter what. You're like stressed building up to launch. There's all the stress is building up on you, making sure everything's working. And then when you hit the button and you hope that you didn't like your last build's not like a total wreck, and so everybody starts playing and just instant failure, which you did. But anyway, you have all the stress, and then I was able to keep going and do a few updates, fix a few of the like big issues that came up. And then once I kind of got through that, I just sort of crashed, and I couldn't work on anything. I couldn't like watch people play. I couldn't look at the game myself. I just needed to get away from it. And I'm pretty even keeled. Like I can just kind of walk through anything, and like I'm not super affected by that stuff, like for the most part. And this just wrecked me. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, totally unexpected.
I hadn't really thought about it from the, if you will, like the burnout crash angle, right? Because I think there's like literally a physiological element to that crash, right? Like I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, and I part of it was because it wasn't doing as well as I'd hope. It still did really well. It's like I'm making a second one on the budget, on the profit of the first one, right? And
nice. So it's just funded basically off of the first one mostly, and
right now I'll come to a burning finish kind of thing, but it is, and it's still making money, and then I've got a few things coming up that'll like help it make more money and sales, and it's just this endless little trickle, and it keeps going down, but it works.
Yeah, and I imagine the Song of Iron 2 announced could even boost some
potentially play, you always hope so, but I don't really. I expect it to maybe like help sell a few copies every once in a while if I have a good post. But no one thing is gonna. Welcome to being an indie dev. Never rely on one moment. It literally will never work out. So it's really the slow burn. Even like yesterday, it's nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Right,
it's just the beginning. So. But yeah, it's just, it's tough. So it's successful enough. I'm making another one, and that, not everybody gets to say that. So, it was good, but you get high hopes and you're trying to guess. And
right.
I had this massive wish list count that, everybody was like real surprised when I told them. And so all predictions point to a pretty great launch, and that just like didn't happen. So I know a little bit why, but yeah, I mean, I had like 100,000 wish lists going in to launch.
Okay.
And it did not do the numbers that like the predictions say that will do.
Yeah. I think that's super interesting. Like even as information to cut out for other indie devs, honestly, who are going through similar things, because I've seen recent talks, I think even out of the latest GDC, about like the wish list conversion ratios and how those have really changed over even just like the last 5 years, and in a much like lower conversion kind of trend.
Right. That wish lists aren't the like magical way to sell a ton of copies anymore.
Yeah. There's too much other algorithm stuff going on, I think, within the Steam ecosystem, and there's just too many games. It's just like people do it as a bookmark, more than they're doing it as like, can't wait to buy this on day one. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
to be fair, I think that's how
I do. I have like 100 games wish lists that are more than that.
You're getting emails, once a week that says like these 6 games are on sale now and stuff, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Is there? Since we're kind of on the topic, is there like something in hindsight you're like, from a Steam specific perspective, that like for Song of Iron 2 you'll focus more on? Like, you had great capsules. All of your like marketing and presentation was so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you're like, next time focusing the shit out of my tags, or I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I do think that stuff was all pretty on par with what I need as far as like the page and the imagery and stuff. The big stuff is the game and little bits of things that like understanding the like take 20 minutes to play before you can leave a review, 2 hours before you can return it. Like there's these little moments in play, and you have to be making sure in those moments you're giving people a good game. You're obviously trying to always do it, but like I would say like my beginning section was like 10 minutes long, and I think I didn't have the best opening, and so I have this like my plan for 2 is a 30-minute intro prologue to the story and have it be just awesome, right? Just like it's just I'm going to work on it like right in the middle of production, so I'm at my peak excitement and also like peak all the systems are in place. Find that perfect little moment. So that's the best 30 minutes in the whole game.
I'm thinking about like the dragon thing in the first game was one of my favorite moments, that runaway sort of chase.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done. And even though it was like very
awesome.
apparent to me that like these moments were intended, and at least I don't think I was going to get hit. Maybe I could have, and I was just playing well, but
yeah, you can get,
it seemed like it was all very intentional. I loved that moment. I think like, a climax like that is what you need in those early stages, right?
You totally do. Yeah. And like a little story, like more story hook. It was there with like the, what happens at the beginning of the first one, with the death of the loved one and stuff, but it's just not enough. I didn't quite give enough hooks. There wasn't enough interest, I think, but just all these little things to like teaching people better. So they just, without it feeling like a tutorial. Yeah. I really like you go through the village, right? And it's just like, hit this button and you do it. Yeah. Really cool. And then you don't have to do it for like another 10, 15 minutes. And so everybody kind of forgets. They get to the next thing and they go, and I just watch everybody playing, look down and like start hitting buttons because they don't remember.
Yeah. I was saying that to Anthony
super awesome
just before that. I was like, I can't believe there's so many controls that I'm not getting reminded of them. I'm like, I'm glad I'm really good at keeping them in my mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to teach and then reteach and then reteach, and like there's all these little things. I think it's going to help just like phenomenally. That's and the game, it's just better. Like I just learned how to make a better game making this game. So.
No, those are really great actionable insights, in my opinion. Yeah. I think those are really good tips, and some of those things I hadn't even thought about. You said one thing, so let me. We just went to GDC for the first time this past year, okay, and so we went with our 3-ish hour build of our game.
Nice.
We tested a shit ton, blah, 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 blah. We went and we showed it, got in front of some publishers or whatever, and everyone's like, we are looking for a vertical slice,
Yes.
Like, and we're like,
oh, sure.
From our perspective,
we basically had a gameplay demo.
Yeah, we had let me tell you, the target demographic loves the shit out of this thing. But yeah, the graphics are,
they want to see the whole package, right?
Yeah, right. So that was very insightful for us. Where you're coming from the AAA space, you've got kind of like you mentioned, production, when you want to tackle certain things in production. That stuff's kind of the like totally new way of thinking for us, at least. How are you going about last time you published it through ID at Xbox, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like it's a weird wishy-washy line. Like they're not a publisher. They like do the publishing for people without publishers on Xbox.
Sure.
So you kind of go through them if you don't have one. And, but it's still technically published under my company, Resting Relic.
Cool.
But I go through them, and then Steam's the same. It's just developer and publisher, Resting Relic, both of them.
And is that your plan for 2, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's the plan as of right now.
Cool. So you don't necessarily need to have this like vertical slice milestone. I think that's where I'm going. Is like, do you feel like that's valuable for you? Are you going to?
Yeah, no, I did. I do have one. Both.
I mean, this demo is essentially part of it, right?
The demo is, I mean, that demo is the first vertical slice. I just like took this really small little chunk, worked on it, fixed up combat, and I was like, okay, I've made enough improvements. I'm going to start working on the full game. But then I'll, trying to get on Game Pass, they want to see a demo. There's all these like deals to be made, and NVIDIA, you can go to this thing, and Intel will try to do this thing. And so you got to send stuff to people. But honestly, it's good. I think it's good for us to do it even just for ourselves. So you want to see the whole package together, and instead it's really bad to like guess that everything's working and just this is what I did in the first one. I literally would do full passes of a thing across the entire game. But I'm going to work on encounter design a little bit. And I would just, for 2 weeks, I would just march across the whole game and work on it, come back, do a layer of art, come back and do a layer of this. I think it was a huge mistake. Well, not a huge mistake, but maybe not the best way to do it.
Interesting.
So now the game's kind of broken up into these 4 main sections. And so I'm finishing one of the sections before I even worry about the other 3. So all the systems will be done, or most of them. All this stuff's going to be built. It's all tested. I can do all the perf and then go, okay, I can totally now just do that again 3 more times.
Yeah, and that's sort of where we've moved to now that we're doing this sort of vertical slice approach. Because before we were doing a very similar thing, right? We did all the gameplay, like a bunch of the level design. Then we were working on like a lot of the UI, right? We did this layered approach as well.
Yeah. And it feels good because, you can see this progress and you can see the whole game getting better. But there's too many cases where you go, oh no, I have to change this thing. And then you kind of like look at your entire game and you're like, oh no, what have I done? Like,
yeah. We recently made a big change to like our core level design philosophy. And now we're like, now we have to go back and like look at every level again and be like, how does this level now apply to this new philosophy?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I think along those lines, I am sure that even with all your testing and stuff, when you were getting closer to release, there was some stuff you're like, you know what? I know it's not where I want it to be, and that's just how we're going to have to ship it. Is there like a few things that maybe hurt the most on there that or I don't know,
that you wish could have been different when you released it?
Yeah. Honestly, the controls I struggled with constantly. I still do. Just the perfect mapping kind of thing for players. I think my enemies were just not interesting enough. And then the player had some things that were not smooth about the action. And so those 3 things together kind of, while I was so used to it and I was like doing these weird death grips that I didn't even realize I was doing on the keyboard because I was just so used to it. And then obviously, of course, as soon as players get their hands on it, they're like, why would I ever reach across my finger to like do this, hit this button all the time? And so those are like pretty big mistakes, I guess, that I would totally wish I could go back, but fixing them now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm assuming you found ways to improve these things coming into the second
definitely.
Game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more about like smooth combat right now. Like, in the first one, you had to stop a combo, turn around, and then like melee the next direction, right? And it's just like,
it was very hard. You couldn't like cancel actions into other actions, so I would run into that a lot where I would be like, I want to attack here, and then I'd be like, oh, but I was holding a button, so now I need to like wait. Yeah. I assume that was part of like having to design a lot of it in Blueprint. I imagine you don't get a lot of that stuff easily when you are coding in Blueprint,
it's not
right?
Natural. Yeah, I mean, you like anything, you'd have to code it one way or the other, but there was some aspect, I really wanted realism, and so it was just I never built it in initially because I was like, well, you're moving forward this way, you can't just, how often can you really kind of go back and forth and defend in front and behind yourself? And that was the excuse I gave myself, at least, but I think it, and then I was, I always will run and I'll jump to turn because like faster. And it's just one of those things, you just do it so much, I don't even realize I'm doing it anymore. Sure. And then, but not everybody knows to do that.
Right, and
so
you don't teach it, so they just like have to
and it's not meant to be how it's played. And so, it's this like, I'm getting around my own design. I should not even have that design anymore. But in the trailer, I very specifically showed the guy fighting back and forth in it, right? And I was like, I have changed this. It is better now. So.
That's awesome. That's great. Relating to like some of the stuff you got out of the first game and feedback you got, I'm just curious, is there like a piece of feedback that was most surprising to you? Like something someone either like liked or disliked that was really like out of nowhere for you, where you're just like, I didn't expect this at all?
Oh man, was there? I don't think, on the positive side, some people just absolutely love the game. Like, best game they've ever played kind of comments, you know what I mean? And who knows how hyperbolic that is. And if you have enough people play something, you're going to be one person's favorite at least, you know?
Right.
But it's one of those things that's like the hardest thing to like sort of cope with in a weird way. It's like, yeah, but it's not that good, right? Like
you're like, there are definitely better games than this. What games are you playing?
Yeah. So those, I mean, it's great to hear those, but sometimes those are so hard to take in a weird way. It's like, oh God, don't look at me, you know? But then I think there was nothing crazy, nothing like real surprising. I think some people, it's the internet, so some people are just like super negative about something that's like, it's not that big of a deal, guys.
Right.
Okay. Even if it just doesn't work at all, like, don't yell at me that much. Get a refund, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was not too much. I think all of this stuff, all the big complaints were things we've kind of talked about already, like controls and just all these little things, but they just annoyed enough people that it's like, yep, I have to fix this. No question.
Yeah. And speaking of these things, like these improvements and stuff, Anthony and I were curious. We were just wondering, what was your playtesting process like for the first game? And are you planning on like improving it or changing how you do it in the second game in any way? Just because we focus a ton on playtesting in our studio. Yeah, yes. We're playtesting nerds. So
yeah, I relied a lot on myself in the first one, at least for a majority of the time through development. I definitely was sending it to friends here and there, but it's like the least reliable thing to do, I think, other than just they'll tell you if something really big's wrong, but they're not going to be looking through stuff. Leading up to launch, a few months ahead, I did a closed beta with about 100 people from the community. Try to get a bunch of different computer specs and all that stuff. I had them sign up and tell me what computer they had and stuff, and that helped a lot. I mean, they found a ton of all these like silly little bugs. Like you used to be able to run right through the Pyre right at the beginning. That like the first thing, because it was just like I never would go through that, so I just stood there and then turned around, and they're like, first thing I did was run off the cliff on the other side of the Pyre, and I was like, okay, well, thank you for like, and it really took. I only let them play like 2 or 3 sections, and all the stuff they found, I was pretty easily able to go, okay, these are the things that I'm messing up, and I just went back through, and I was able to find those problems all over and just fix them. So it's like, okay, players are doing these things, got it. But it probably wasn't rigorous enough. I think you can always have more testing, right? Of course. I play constantly, but that's one of the things I learned is like I'm becoming too good at the controls, or like I can work through a control that I'm like, yeah, I'll fix that later, and so on. So the thing I'm doing different though is having this demo day one after announcement, and that thing, anybody who's got it, it's going to stay up. It won't be like weekly, but I will be updating it. Anytime the player gets like new features and clean up the combat or whatever. And I'll probably sometimes drop a super weapon or give everybody who logs in like all the abilities or something once in a while, and just to test them out as this kind of thing.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And so you're kind of like not seeing the game at all in a way, but also you get to play, and then maybe I'll swap the enemies every once in a while, that kind of stuff.
Cool. So it's going to be like a living sort of demo.
Yeah, I think it will be, because not everybody will know that. Even though I'll always put the text in there, but it'll never be a mess. Hopefully, it's like, hey, everybody jump in. It's like all these boxes running around, shooting lasers out of the middle of them. But yeah. I think that's a big part of it. So that'll just always be up, and yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned at one point, in that last little segment, that you had about hundreds of fans helping you play test those first few sections. Mm-hmm. Somewhat relatedly, for Song of Iron 2, I guess, where do those fans come from? What like social media strategies that maybe you did the first time are you going to lean into for the second one? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts around like how you built your community prior to launch for Song of Iron, and what you want to do differently for 2?
Yeah. Oof, man, it's there's a lot of stuff that went really well, a lot of stuff that didn't go very well, and I think the worst things in some ways were like social media platforms that are almost useless to me. They were like third tier. They got the third post all the time, and so they got the least attention. Like Instagram was one that I would have claimed as my second number 2. It just doesn't matter. There's people there, but it's just discoverability is awful, and views on there versus views anywhere else are just terrible. So I'm effectively going to ditch that. My Discord, I'm not going to push at all. I think it's not the type of game that a Discord is super beneficial. If it was a multiplayer game, absolutely. Then you have people playing together and, coming there to start stuff. But I love the people that are in my Discord. It's awesome. But it's just like a few weeks after launch, it basically died because everybody there had played it. There's nothing to talk about. It's not like it's constantly something new in there. So it's just all these like focusing efforts a lot more. And then a big thing I'm doing email. That's like I'm really going to push my email. I think you can't rely. It's this concept of like you can't rely on any of these social media platforms to continue to support you at any given time. It's too risky. But also, I have like 1,000 email subscribers from the beginning of the first one. Yeah. Email marketing is huge. Sorry, I'm responding to something. So the opens, I mean, it's like 60% open rates to like people who are active in my email subscriptions. And that's going directly to everybody I email, right? But if I send a tweet, they test it on 50 people or 10 people or whatever. You know what I mean? You go through these processes. And if someone's willing to be on the email list and stay on the email list, they want to be there, Twitter followers, they're just scrolling and those scroll by. And I love my Twitter following is great. They're very positive. They're always there for me. But email is like the big push I'm going for this time.
What kinds of stuff did you put out on email? Like, would you put out dev updates, or was it basically just like, yo, heads up, builds coming out kind of a thing?
For the first game, I was in this. I felt like really called out by this GDC talk because I was totally doing this, but I had this mentality of not wanting to spam people. So it was very much like sign up for my email. I'll tell you when I release, and it was like a year later. And I'm like, here you go, everybody. And that's just like, not great. And so this time I'm going to do that, if you guys have signed up, you've probably already gotten your free soundtrack because you signed up. And then a week from signing up, you'll get another email from me that's like one of the big, cool poster arts, just like, here's the full resolution download for that. It's all these little things. And then eventually I'll do more like monthly dev updates or something and talk about stuff, go into a little bit of detail of what I'm doing, a little more than I can on like Twitter or something. And, nothing crazy. It's just another way to follow along with the dev cycle. And maybe when Will finishes a song, I can give it to people there kind of stuff. And
so it's like a cadence schedule thing for the email. Like when someone signs up, they get something, and then a week later they get something. It's not like, and then eventually you'll be sending like mass emails, but in addition, you have like this scheduled sequence of events.
Yeah, it's sort of like a welcome automation. Yeah, basically. And exactly.
That's cool.
And it's nice that you can do it. Yeah.
My theory is that if you go that route, I bet you your conversion ratio on email is going to be even higher, because like if you get monthly updates and you're not interested, you'll bail. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the other thing. Yeah. You want really good email rating, like within the like Google and all the email providers, like they rate you, and if people are like spamming marking, it's like real bad, and then you'll get moved to the the social media tab or the promotion tab.
Right. You want to stay in the friend tab.
You want to stay in the friends tab. Yeah. So I mean, it's this mixed bag because you hate playing these games with people, right? Because these are actual fans, and so you don't want to like be tricking them into doing stuff. So I think as long as I'm actually providing something interesting and being honest, it's okay. But it's like asking them to reply, and like you ask a question. If they reply instantly, you're like, your email gets tons of points to it, right? All that sort of stuff. If they're actually clicking the buttons in your thing, then it's like good, it's positive. But then also you're like, if you don't want this, please unsubscribe. I would love for you to do that, because then I'm not sending emails to someone who doesn't want them, who's going to just delete them or mark them spam or whatever. It's just like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be, like, just unsubscribe.
Because that just hurts your score.
Right.
Yeah. And then the days like yesterday where I sent 1,000 emails out and then everybody signing up is getting all these automated emails. Like, I don't want those to go to spam. So it's important to have a core audience, but then that core audience is there,
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Before we go too ham into Song of Iron 2 stuff, I just have one more Song of Iron 1 question. Well, we have a few Song of Iron 1 questions, I think, in the bank, but I was just curious, do you have a favorite moment from like a single moment from the first game?
Oh man, that's tough. Honestly, in a weird way, I love the opening, like literally the first time you see the character in front of the pyre with that music playing. It's one of those, like, I would love it to be prettier, but it's just like, right away what this game is. Like, mood wise, it's just like, okay, someone's dead, you're not happy. The music is just perfectly selling that moment too. It's just the one Taglaharpa line basically, and I think it sort of in the best way, like, encompasses everything about it. I think from just like a super epic moments, the dragon landing on the mountain, so cool. and then roaring or whatever, I think is just like I'm just really happy with how that turned out.
I loved coming over the hill and seeing the some weird thing in the background, because you could see like the glowing line, and you didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, is that some weird rock or something? And then it moves and it's the dragon. That moment was great. I really liked how the dragon played out.
I was on, I said it. He flew over there. It all looked so good. I was like, it's like the guy knows how to animate or something.
That was a lot of fun to work on. But
the freaking end is, to your point, and really to emphasize this strategy on a prologue, the end was so fucking good. Like, I did not see it coming at all. Skylar was saying that he somehow picked up that as the armor was dropping, it was maybe a little more futuristic-y in some ways or something, I think he mentioned. But I didn't catch nothing. I was just
There was also a few things in the background throughout the game that hinted at the sci-fi ending. Like, very close to the end, when you're going up one of the elevators, there's like a room in the background that has colored wires and stuff.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, the fuck? Like, okay.
Bug, weird.
No, well, I was like, well, maybe it's a bug or maybe it's whatever. And then it kept you start moving out. I'm like, holy shit, what is happening? That was awesome. That was
I feel bad for anyone who didn't get to the end, to be honest. And that's what, to your point, right? That you want to hook them from the beginning so they see like this amazing narrative, like ending climax.
Yeah, it's tough. And that stuff was really fun to hide in there. I probably could have hit even more because almost nobody knew it was coming. I probably could have done a little bit more for that. I think if people play again, the Goblin King is basically telling you what's happening. But very slowly. He's calling he calls you a breeder, and he's like, go fight in the Sky Wars or something. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Otherwise. But
I think it's saying crazy.
But he's literally telling you like the plot of the world in a way.
Oh, that's funny.
It's pretty subtle, so it's not wild, but it's one of those things.
No, it was super cool though. I'm seriously thinking about like the last time I was surprised to that extent. I feel it's like hasn't been since like Halo 1 and the Flood showed up that I was like, what just happened? That was a really good twist. I loved it.
Was that like what drove you to go with this like theme? Was that like something that you knew from the beginning you wanted to do?
Oh yeah, I wanted to know this too.
So this was, the story was all based off a D&D campaign that I was running with some of my buddies, and he ran the goofiest, like Rick and Morty level campaign, but I'm always a DM, and so I was like, well, I just want to be like a really normal fantasy Viking fighter or something. So he's got like dolphin people who don't have bent necks, so they look up all the time. He's just like goofy, and I just have a totally normal Viking who walks through this world. And so the story that I came up with was basically we were on this like slave planet where they were breeding them in the lab, and then like the babies would like wash up on shore and they would take them. They were like all men. There was no women in it or something like that. And so on that planet there was labs that were growing all of the things, and so that was like, I was like, that's just like perfect for what I'm trying to do. And it's not the exact story, but it's basically it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there from the beginning. And I kind of had the whole trilogy planned out. So at least vaguely, like I know where the whole story's going. And so it's all building. And
so you've been planning on it being like a trilogy from the beginning, basically?
Yeah, pretty early on, I just to be like able to finish the game, you know, I was like, well, this is my story. There's no way I can do all this. So I just cut it right into thirds, like in the first week. And I was like, all I have to do is get to the first lab, you know, in the first game and go from there.
I think it's also interesting to like plan. We've done a very similar thing. We have a big overarching story plan, and we're only doing part of it in our first game. And I think it gives you really cool opportunities to like hide elements that later people will go back and be like, oh,
yeah, it was here.
Right. It always reminds me of in World of Warcraft, how the first game or the second game's title screen was hidden in the background of the first game. The entire time, and no one knew. Yeah, that stuff.
That stuff's so awesome.
That. Yeah.
It's okay. So, Skylar, do you have any more Song of Iron 1 questions? I actually see if you can remember the launch week. Like, how much were you sleeping?
Honestly, I was pretty calm.
How much do you sleep generally, too? I guess we need the relative.
I sleep pretty good. I get up really early. Well, my dog gets me up really early, and I just stay awake. But I was sleeping okay. Like I was feeling really confident. I think that was part of the whirlwind of launch and like feeling really bad. I got some early reviews. They were like great. With one of them was like a 5 out of 5. You know, so I was like, oh, riding high. Yeah, like my wish lists were blowing up at that right at the end, which is what you always want to see. Skill Up had mentioned me and his indie, like indie thing. You know, it was like Joe. I was like the highlighted game because I like started in the beginning. You talked about it a bunch and then showed a bunch of games. And like I think I saw 20,000 wish lists over the course of that week, and like everything was just going this way, you know, into the positive. And so I just felt good. I was just relaxed. And then it was just a little bit more chaotic as soon as I hit the button that morning.
So you last time you came on, you made this interesting comment about during the first game's development, there were times where you were just like so demotivated that you would make yourself this super tiny goal of like just open Unreal Engine. Like that's all you got to do. Now, fast forward post-release, you're going through the post-release blues. What got you to go again? Like, were you thinking, maybe I should go to AAA?
I'll tell you, Anthony quotes that thing you said all the time in this. When we talk about burnout in the studio, we always say, like, remember, all you have to do, like, is try opening Unreal Engine. And
it's like, you know, it's because usually the burnouts ended long before you're able to deal with it again, because you don't want to, like, you feel the feeling before you hit the button, you know, and you're like very afraid of it. So it's like, just open it. And your brain, you won't be able to not look around. You know what I mean? You just got to hit that fucking button. Oh, God, the question.
Sorry, I sort of derailed.
Yeah, I know. Say it. What was it again?
No, just how did you get yourself through? What made you? Yeah. You're in the post-release blues. Did you think about, like, I'm done solo deving? That was too much, you know? Like,
yeah, no, I never really caved, I don't think. I definitely just... the initial like couple days there was some like really low points, but it was more, that was like, did I mess up? I don't know. But then, you know, you start looking at it and it's like, okay, actually it's fine. And like, here's why I'm totally like, okay. Honestly, I started working on something totally new, totally like meant to be just for fun. Like I want to work on something. I need to be creative, but I don't want to like get into Song of Iron 2 yet, or even just work on updates for Song of Iron. So I started making a very different game. And it got really far. It's really fun, but it's beyond me, and so it's for a later development, Joe. You know, but it's basically like Studio-Ghibli meets Battle Royale. It's
wow, that sounds awesome.
You know, yeah, I've got like the wing flyers, and you jump on those and fly around, and you can have a person on the back, and they're firing down into the, you know.
Well, once we all fully release our trilogies, maybe we can do a collab.
Yeah, come back together. But I mean, like, it's one of these things. I have a demo. We can play. There's a blue circle comes in, and everybody's running around Ghibli style. It's like, it's awesome. Yeah, it's and I like the actual Ghibli style, which is a little more realistic than most people. They'll make something that's like completely cartoon toon shaded and like Ghibli. And I'm like, no, it really is not Ghibli like at all. So it's not quite that, because I did like no textures. You saw the GDC talk, that little like those 3 trees and the bush. I was like, look how easy it is. That was from that project.
Okay.
And yeah, so I worked on that a bunch, and then while I was working on that, I started tinkering again into Song of Iron, and just went from there.
That's awesome.
And eventually I stopped that one and go full on.
So you basically did like a game jam of sorts. But.
Yeah.
So we have this like we talk a lot about like intrinsic motivation in the studio when we're doing our planning and whatever, and we even recently one of our team members, he just like was working on a lot of narrative stuff, kind of like burn out on it. Not like that he was overworking, he was just like not motivated to do it anymore, right?
You get bored, right?
Yeah. Side note, Harvard Business Review just released this article about the 3 types of burnouts. And one of them was this like under challenged burnout, which is like, you're just not motivated by the work you have to do. And it creates a similar kind of brain fog as to when you're like overworked burnout, you know? Anyway, so he hits that spot, and we intentionally make sure that the next thing they're working on, if it's not, sometimes you just need like a break, like you just need time.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes it is just this notion of just like, I want to do something I want to do. So it's like, yo, how about instead of working on writing stuff, make a level, you know, like, that sounds fun, you know, whatever. So that's interesting that.
And then he designed an insane level that like had no place in the current game, but it was very cool.
Yeah. So sometimes you just need to like do that, you know, and totally.
Now I wanted to say the first game you started. I remember watching the Vidoc. You like first started like with a shooter or something. It was like an open world shooter. And then you're like, I feel like that was maybe example of like your AAA experience kicking in, where you're like, I can't make this by myself. It's going to be huge. And you pivoted. Is that like a similar thing with this Battle Royale? You just understand the scope of taking that to the finish line.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's the same game. I totally restarted, but like I have a dream, you know, and I will eventually, I will make this damn game that I want to make. But it's just I'm not ready for it yet. So it was great to work on it a bit. Honestly, like it works surprisingly well, all things considered. I mean, it's a mess, but also a total functional mess. And I need more like internet skills, like connectivity
for multiplayer
and
networking. Yeah,
internet skills. I sound like a real professional.
Yeah,
I need more networking.
You need to go to the library and take a class on the internet,
take an interweb class with all the tubes. But that's just like, I mean, that stuff's so crazy. I don't know if you guys are doing multiplayer at all, but like.
Not for the first game.
We made the same decision as you. We were like, this is too much. Like, if we want to ever release a game, we have to limit our scope.
You need like a network engineer almost. I mean, you're coding everything like 3 times to do a multiplayer thing, right? Versus 1 time.
Well, and not even that. The return on investment is so precarious, right? You put a multiplayer game nowadays has got to just bang out the gates, and it's got to stay banging to like hold an audience where like the return is worthwhile, you know? And we've talked about it before. I think that's a big reason, because I think everybody will see when we finally release some gameplay, but like the fundamentals of our game, like could be fun as fuck with multiplayer, but it can be the funnest thing ever. There's tons of super fun AAA experiences. They have no players. Nobody plays them. Right. You know? So yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
It's a little deceptive. I mean, we're both not doing it, so it's not a big deal. I worked on Star Trek Online and some of the MMOs, right? And you would just assume that those are just failures from, you know, always. They just never did that great kind of thing. And it depends on how much money you need. Because if people are just playing it like if only a few people are playing all the time, I mean, that's more than what's playing, you know, Song of Iron on a daily.
No, right.
You know, then, you know, it really doesn't take a ton. like of consistent players to make
that return make sense.
Right. Well, we are in this overreactive world where people say like a game is dead when it has like 1,000 concurrent players, and it's like that's still a lot of.
It's
people.
like dead by what standard, right? Like a failure by what standard? Like no, we never beat WoW with Star Trek Online, but also we weren't trying to make. Well, it'd be great, but we were
right.
We had 3,000 players at all times. That's all you really need.
Well, it's like you said, right? Song of Iron 1, some people would maybe have considered whatever amount you made a failure, but for you, it funded your entire second game, and that's all you really needed, right?
Yeah, exactly. And and it, I'm building on what I have, and I'm not starting over, so there's all this value in that, and then that perceived like, I'll launch 2 and I'll have the package deal, and then I'll launch the third part of the trilogy, and then it's all this bundle. You know what I mean? You get to kind of like theoretically resell and just keep selling, and then start porting to everything imaginable. And
I'm just saying, a Song of Iron Horde mode could kind of slap. Like, okay,
especially with the combat improvements you're talking about and stuff. I can see that being fun.
I'm just for game 3. Okay, cool. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I'm waiting for the game 3 twist where it shifts to a first person or third person perspective, and you're in the Song of Iron Battle Royale.
That would be the coolest thing ever. No, but
all of a sudden,
I'm warning you, Joe. You have set a precedent that like I'm going to be expecting a banging ending for Song of Iron 2.
I'm sure everyone who played Song of Iron 1 will feel the same way.
I'm going to be coming in being like...
I got it, man. I got it.
Okay. I'm so happy to hear it. One thing you just mentioned, you made it. You made Song of Iron 1 in Unreal Engine 4.
Mm-hmm.
What did you just kind of stay... One question, did you stay current on the Unreal releases as they came out, or was there a point in production where you're like, I'm not updating anymore?
I didn't convert onto Source until like the year before launch. So I was on just the launcher engine, right? Which is, I forget what they call it, but basically just the base engine for a while. And then when I did convert, it was 2.26 or 4.26 or whatever. 4.26. And once I went to Source, I never updated.
Interesting.
I was pretty far along. Not many versions came after that, really, but it was such a nightmare getting over for the first time. I'm not an engineer, and I'm like in Visual Studio building, and I feel no good things about that. I feel way better about it now. I understand it way better now. But
I was thinking about it. You just said you went to Source. Yeah. I'm like, damn. Joe's
you have to for
like final
Xbox and stuff. Steam you can manage it without it, but anything else pretty much you got to be over.
I see. And are you sticking with that version again for Song of Iron 2? You're just gonna stay on that, I assume? Or?
I'm on it still, but I've been waiting basically for this demo and all the announcement stuff to go out so I can take some time to convert to 5, which is
so you are going to try and move to 5? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we also converted to 5 a few months ago.
Nice.
It wasn't too bad for us.
Collision shit. Oh my god. I mean, we have a very physics heavy game. Like the physics are really important, and we've still got some stuff to address on the
that's scary.
Physics and collision front. Yeah,
that's good to know. I'll keep an eye out for that. I was gonna do like a test convert, see how bad it was, just right off the bat, and then. But I want to. I think it's all the tools to like go to PS5 and Xbox Series are all way better. So
on UE5 for UE5,
on the new stuff, yeah.
Cool. What do you think of the animation improvements of UE5? Are they cool?
I looked into them a bunch. I was considering doing all animation in engine if I could, as I started working on 2. The problem was I couldn't do it, basically. I mean, like you can build the rig. The rig's awesome. You can animate the rig fairly well, but then you can't really you just can't quite do all the little things you need to do to do it cleanly. It's so close, but I can't wait for them to finish the last few things and make it real.
Yeah, it seems awesome. I don't know.
It seems like a lot of those Unreal 5 systems are like right on the edge of basically meaning that like you never have to leave the engine for any aspect of the game.
I mean, I almost don't need Maya anymore. That'd be so amazing. I mean, to not need to animate out of the engine.
Probably help the budget. Two.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the money that Maya costs is crazy, and like they have like a rigging tool. I can't rig. I barely can rig. I'm using some auto rigger thing, and oh man, their tool is so great.
Cool.
But you just can't quite do what you need to do yet. So
nice,
cool.
I have to wait.
yeah.
But it is awesome. I mean, they're making awesome tools, definitely.
Yeah, are you gonna lumen and nanite it up? Probably no need.
No, I think I struggle too much with performance, mostly because my code's probably pretty inefficient just in general, and so I'm staying away from those systems. I have this huge advantage of having this locked camera, right? So
true.
I could put like a ton of polys and like really close up stuff because you just walk by him and it's gone, and I can just I'm fine, and so I'm just
you did such a good job, man, of like doing a lot with little. Yeah, like honestly, like by yourself in that short time frame. I don't know, like you just super punched above your weight in a lot of ways, in my opinion. Like that, like I'm hyped for Song of Iron 2 for the same thing. It was just a vibe is the way I would put it. Like, and Will Goss is clearly showing up on game 2 with the fucking trailer music. So cool.
Yeah, super good.
We need to get Anthony a loop of that stat apparently.
yeah.
No, I'll down. Yeah, I honestly was like about to download it off Twitter. I was like, I can't download it on Twitter. I gotta pump the views, man. Like if I'm gonna listen to it over and over again, I gotta juice it for him. Like
loop it.
Can't download it.
I'll release the 10-hour version or something.
That's what he needs. That's what Anthony needs. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
okay.
awesome.
So Skylar, what were you going to say about Song of Iron 2? You were going to ask a question?
No. I'm good.
I think before I went off that huge tangent.
I have no idea. If I was, it's gone now.
Okay. No, I think I asked my main things. I have some fun questions, Skylar, if you don't have any.
No, I got some fun ones in the pocket as well. So go ahead.
Okay. So I don't think I asked you this last time, but what's your go-to development snack?
Oh geez, peanuts.
Interesting.
Really?
Just like straight up salted peanuts, normal.
Oh damn. Okay.
Wow. That's a healthy go-to snack compared to many.
I'm not much of a junk food guy, so I'll have some peanuts.
Could be worse. That's for sure. What about? Actually, sorry, I had one last development related question. I'm sorry, I teased fun there. You work from home, right? Like you do everything from home. How do you got any tips on how you kind of create, space between work and life so that you're not just always working?
It's definitely tough. I mean, a big part of it is I'm in like a spare bedroom in this. This is like my office, basically, or my gaming room. It's both. But we've sort of got this pattern with me and my wife. Like we're working, and then 5 o'clock comes along. We do the dog walk. We make dinner. We go through that like process. Then we watch some TV, and then once in a while, if I'm like craving it, like 9 or 10 o'clock, so like 4 hours later, I'll come back up and either game a little bit or work on something. But the routine really kind of got developed, and that helps a lot. Yeah.
And one fun question I did have, when you were in development, I guess not in development, what was another game that you would play to help you just like chill out? Chill out. My wife I'm trying to get her to play more games, and so she played The Witcher 3 all the way through. And so I kind of like sat around and watched her play it, and I'd play some of the harder stuff if it was like driving her crazy.
Like that Griffin fight. I remember that.
Yeah, like the Griffin fight I did for her, because it was so early too. She was like terrified to like. And if I'm there, she's like really embarrassed, and I'm like, "It's okay. You don't have to be amazing. Like it's really fine. I'm not going to judge you." But she's nervous about it. But
did she stick with it?
Yeah, I hadn't even finished that second expansion, like the Wine Country. I had just like been 100 hours in and just sort of faded away. And we went all the way through that to the end. She's like such a perfectionist, completionist. She made every single recipe. Wow. She found every single this. I mean, she literally did like, it's beyond the 100%er, right? Like we
gotta get her on Breath of the Wild next. It sounds like she's a good candidate.
She just went through all of the Kingdom Hearts.
Okay,
and then it's like I think Breath of the Wild maybe is there. We're almost ready.
For what it's worth, one game that I watched my wife play the whole thing of, and she loved. It just sounds like there's some similarities in game preference. Was Red Dead 2, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah.
That was fucking awesome. I think that she could
be down for that. Yeah,
the story was so good.
Spiritfarer is another good one.
Oh, I've wanted to play that game for a long time, but I've never tried it.
Yeah, I watched her play that whole thing. She loved that. Yeah, she really liked that. Yeah, I think Red Dead probably. I mean, that's right in that Witcher zone.
Right.
And you can probably put it like on super easy, so you're just winning all the fights. She likes to do that. She's like, I don't want to fight anybody. Just like let's go through the rest of the game. So it's always on easy, so she can.
And you ride a horse. You have a horse. Take care of the horse.
All the good stuff.
That's pretty good. Okay, well, I asked you snack. What about go to like drink? Like, are you a coffee guy? You were always just down in coffee, or
I limit myself to 3 a day. I've got like my morning, my wake up, my like 10 a.m. and then I get like a afternoon coffee.
Okay.
But yeah, that's otherwise I'm pounding that.
And what do? You espresso guy? You just straight up normal black
just
coffee?
Normal with some creamer, nothing crazy.
Okay.
Pretty basic. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm a big fan of caffeine, and
Anthony is an unhealthy levels of fan of caffeine.
Recently, I was like, I think it's been harder to breathe, and maybe I need
my heart's always racing.
Turns out, I actually read this whole freaking like actual medical paper. I think it's my gum, man. I put I take those like gum cubes and I chew 3 of them at the same time. So it's huge. I don't think I'm getting air through.
There's a legitimate medical study he showed me that was talking about how that can inhibit your breathing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a white paper. So anyway, that's cool. Awesome. Coffee it is. What about
I'm curious.
Sweet?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Is there sweet? That was my last one.
No sweets.
Not a junk food guy, you said.
No junk food.
All right. Okay. I'm curious. Do you have? I want to know your top game or top whatever 2 or 3 games of the last year. And that first. Yeah. Do you have any? They don't have to be ordered. I don't care, but just a few of your favorite games from the last year.
Honestly, I've been struggling a bit. I think I played a ton of games and I kept like not finishing any of them. I don't know if I'm just sort of burnt out on playing because it's like I'm like playing. I'm like I know this is good. I'm just sort of done at like an hour in or something. Just a bunch of the indie games that like popped off in the last year or two. I don't know. It might just be. I couldn't even guess.
Interesting.
Valheim, which is maybe 2 or 3 years old at this point. I played the hell out of that. I think that game is just like fantastic. I just want more and more of it. Oh man, I don't know. It's a good question. I haven't. I just keep not playing stuff.
That's fair.
Just like not finishing. Yeah.
What about any upcoming games you're highly anticipating?
God of War.
Yeah.
I think like everybody.
The trailer was fucking crazy, right?
I know. Like, super happy that came out the day before my trailer.
Yeah, they're only both Viking with axe games.
Oh God. Yeah. No, I mean I love the first one. I thought that it was amazing, or the 2018 or whatever.
I was so happy it came out on PC. I played it for the first time this past year when it came out on PC, and I loved it too.
Yeah, I had to borrow a PlayStation when it came out the first time, and then but this not coming. It's not like day one on PC, so I'm gonna have to figure that out.
I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna ask one of my friends if I can like borrow their console for a bit to play it.
I have no emotional equity in that franchise. Haven't played any of them. Haven't played 2018. Was thinking maybe now to try on PC after this trailer. I almost like impulse bought a PS5 with like the Elite controller because of that trailer, like straight up off that trailer. Funny. I was like, what the fuck? This thing is crazy. This looks so cool. I don't know. I might not. Skylar knows. He can tell me. I might actually. I'm so picky gameplay wise on a lot of stuff. Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I've been feeling that more and more lately. Oh, I should say I did play Elden Ring and I loved it. I thought that. I mean, it's everybody's favorite of the year. I think right now, and rightly so. I think that I'm not a Dark Souls guy. I haven't played like any of them. I think I played Demon Souls for like 4 hours back in the day, but. This one just hit, man. It did everything it needed to do. I definitely like uninstalled it, returned it, and then it just saw it all over social media. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll force myself to play a little
social proof.
We're trying to get Anthony to play through to the first to the first boss. We're trying.
Man, I know people disagree with this, but they need to like give you a path to learn how to play those games. Like it's something. It's crazy. It's so like when I came back, I watched some like 15 minutes to make it a little easier for you tutorial or something. And what it really did was taught me some of the basic systems. So I wasn't afraid of stuff. And those games, everybody knows the name. So you go, oh, this is going to suck every time I die. And so you die and you're like, oh, yep, this sucks. I don't want to play anymore. And you're like afraid of like just the failures.
We had a very controversial TikTok or whatever, like one of our most viral TikToks of all time that Anthony posted. That's just me saying that the UX of Elden Ring is horrible, and that like
that's awesome.
That doesn't make the game hard; it makes it bad.
Yeah, it's totally true. Like if you don't understand a thing, it's not hard; it's bad.
Right.
I think just inherently. So.
Yeah, wait to make a TikTok out of that one.
There you go. More Elden Ring controversy.
I know. I was about to say, well, let me try to save myself. I was like, yeah, you'll edit that out.
No, I mean we both. I loved the game as well. I played through it. It's one of the most time I've put into a game in recent time, and like
it's so
I had a great time. Yeah.
The mood is there, hearing the bat lady singing like a very clean English song. There's just so much stuff like that. Just like, so cool.
Little touches that you're just like, that was whoever thought about that really thought hard.
Yeah, the animators in that game are just top notch. They're just killing it, and they're making so much stuff. It's incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah, animating things that you like couldn't even imagine how they would even move. So it's like hard to imagine how someone would even start like trying to animate something like that.
Yeah, Margaret with like 8 limbs, just running around doing all. Oh God, it's so good. Yeah,
that's why I said that to Skylar. I was like, maybe there's something I'm missing, but this seems like a fuck ton of animation work. Like, this seems insane right now.
Yeah. And just like the support that character count, and then someone's like rigging them up, and then someone's animating them. I mean, they had a clear vision. They knew exactly what they wanted. They built it and they moved, and they just went through stuff. It's crazy.
Okay. I wasn't actually thinking to ask this, but because you just said that, I'm just curious. I'm sure you surely see some news out of the 343 land recently, of all the Halo news. I'm just wondering, like, are you last time you mentioned like the delay? We talked about like whether the delay was good. Now things have landed. It's clear. I would say we talk about this in our Discord. As big Halo fans, our impressions like, damn, this thing was not fully cooked. You used to like work on there internally. I don't know. Are you, as a Halo fan, seeing things are happening, are you excited for the future of the franchise? Are you not? You're like,
yeah, I think it's tough. I don't know if they've done enough yet. I think we need to hear more stuff. I mean, just a few people leaving and a few people being hired is not going to change everything. Like I think if we want the game to like be recreated and from the ground up and to be the thing that we all want it to be, like a ton of stuff has to change. And I don't know if that's happening or not. But it's hard to say because there's so much good stuff in Infinite, and then there's so much stuff that just like didn't land and it lacked what it was kind of promised. Obviously, stuff like the split screen co-op, and like there's so many things that. It's like, oof, well, that was real bad.
I couldn't believe when I saw the article where they just said they just like dropped it. And I'm just like, man, things have to go very wrong for you to drop something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when people are like glitching in and making it work, you know?
Right. People are modding it to work and you can't.
It must. I'm guessing they killed it because it wasn't working on X1.
That's what I was thinking too.
You know, because if the glitch I haven't seen the glitch. I know people were doing it, and it's like if it was working fine, then Xbox Series X is not the problem. It's probably the OG X1, and it's like just let people on the new stuff play it. Then
that's where I'm at too. Man. These people are so desperate to support these old generation systems that they're really constraining the quality of the game.
Yeah. They'll never say it, but if that was it, that's I think personally a bad call because it would be whatever. But
I got you. Yeah, you were in the credits though. You're in the credits for Infinite.
You looked for Joe? I didn't know about this.
I was just watching and I was like, oh shit, there's Joe.
Co-lead animator,
Yeah, what would you be doing? Like the animations for like the bad guys? Like what was
so I was in charge of all enemy animation, basically. It doesn't mean I did it all, but I was in charge of it all. I saw it all as the lead animator. When I left, then Juan Carlos, who's the other co-lead animator for it, that's in there, took over for me. But I would animate a little bit. I was in charge of basically managing all of the animators working on it, keeping them in character for the character, and doing all the stuff, going to all the meetings so that they don't have to, and they can work. And then once in a while, I would do I would save 2 or 3 good animations for myself, and some of the chieftain hammer stuff I did, and some of the real fun stuff. But I animated a ton, but very little of my animations in the game because I did a lot of previs and character study stuff, and not a ton of the final work.
Cool. I mean, I think it's probably overall. There were some things I wish there was more environment variety and stuff, but I think overall that was my favorite 343 Halo campaign. It felt like the most Halo and was just a lot of fun in a lot of ways to play.
Yeah, I agree. I think it felt most like kind of the older stuff for campaign wise and simplicity. Some stuff that just because I know the background will always tickle, make me angry, but I can't. That's all I'll say. It's just inevitable if you're at a place, you're like, but it could have been this or whatever. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the animation team's work. I'm always thinking we can do better, obviously, but hit reacts was the thing I pushed really hard. So we had all these each hand would do a thing, or the leg, or we just added so much more reaction to what the player was doing on the characters.
Who animated Jaega? I mean, I'm sure I have multiple people, but Jaega, or maybe Jaega is his name. Jaega,
the double.
Yeah. He had some movements during cutscenes where I was like, damn, his fingers.
Oh yeah, the cutscene stuff was all the narrative animation team. I don't know. I would have to look and see who did each of those shots, but there's some really good animators on that team. The guy who was leading it, basically, he's he's been on Transformers. He's done everything, and he did the entire intro of 5. All by himself. That huge, they came flying in and crashing down the mountainside, that they ended up rendering out. He did basically that all by himself.
Did we lose Anthony? Yeah. I think we.
Okay, he's just a freeze frame. He's not reacting.
Yeah, I was like, this is Halo, and Anthony's not reacting. I mean, we'll wait for him to get back, but I think we can also thank Infinite for the best bug of the year, the intro thing in multiplayer where the one guy would be in the corner looking away and it would zoom over to that thing. I know it wasn't intentional, but it was amazing. I wish it was intentional.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Were there any bugs that got found in Song of Iron that you thought were hilarious that you did? You were just wow.
Yeah, it didn't make it into the game because the testers caught it, but you could basically roll cancel. And so the character would do this start rolling and then they would slide. And so he was just jittering across the ground and going 1,000 miles an hour across the map. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So just that one was definitely worth a laugh. Funny.
One thing I thought was really interesting about the like movement design in Song of Iron was the the like difference in the three speeds you had available to you were pretty large, right? Like you had the base walk speed I would call like very like slow, very slow. Yeah. And then the sprint speed felt like way faster. And then you get the like super sprint. And I'm like, dang. The range of speed you could move in that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it's like that. The walk is one of those things where it's like, do I even need this? Like, do you need to walk? And I always in games liked to go, ooh, I think something's happening. And so I would like just barely press the stick so you get the walk so it feels like you're doing something kind of badass. So I just sort of left it in for people in a way. But I left it super slow. So it was like a nice kind of like hero walk, you know?
Sure.
But realistically, you don't want to move that slow. So you want to move fast. And then the sprint, literally, I think you're right. It's like 2.5 times.
Yeah, it felt very fast, right? Because most games it's faster. Like 50% faster, maybe. And this is like 200.
It was way faster.
Yeah.
And then the stim was like another 50% on top of that or something. It's like pretty fast. Did you realize that you could attack faster too when you were stimmed?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so basically,
realization.
Everything's faster.
Interesting.
Bow, melee, everything is sped up.
So I thought
it's supposed to be like a stim kind of thing.
That makes sense. It was interesting. Yeah, I was curious because like with all of those elemental sort of or whatever you want to call them, the superpowers you get, there wasn't really any. It was all like up to the player to figure out how they changed the gameplay.
Yeah.
In any way. Was that like something you did intentionally? You were like, I want this to sort of be a mystery for them to figure out?
Yeah, it's a little mix of like barely designed and maybe people will find some fun, just in the sandbox of it.
Right.
Like hilariously, it almost doesn't matter. Like there's a few moments where like you need the electricity to get through the door, right?
Right. But I don't even know if you have to actually use the electricity, right? The door just opens if you have it.
You should. I think you either have to shoot a lightning arrow or just turn on
activate
your axe.
The axe. Yeah, okay, I think that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the door will open. The electricity at least would stun guys, right? If you hit them enough times, they would do the thing. But like fire, it was doing more damage and it was leaving a dot on them. But it just like the way the fighting worked. It almost didn't matter because it only would take like 3 hits to kill a guy. So it was more just like a cool thing.
Yeah.
This game, I'm fixing that. That's another one of those like, well, I never really got to it. So I kind of just left it be cool, I guess.
Yeah, there was a point where that drawbridge goes up in that one like area where you have to find the tomes. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe I shoot a fire arrow at this to burn it. Then the arrow just goes right through it. And I'm like, nope, I still don't know what fire is for.
Yeah, I feel like too many times that's a great example of like people would like tried so hard to jump that gap.
Yep.
And I think one person made it, and I don't know how they did it. And I wanted people to do it, but I made it too tight, and so some people just bang their heads against the wall on that for a while. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be way more impactful this time.
Cool.
There's so much like the story. It's like everything is changing.
Yeah.
And in a good way. It's like, it's all in story, but it's like this whole dynamic shift happening in part 2. And it should be pretty awesome. And it almost explains why those powers are so useless.
Yeah, that's good. That's what you want.
It's like, it's really going to work. Yeah. And we'll say I plan it the whole time, but like, yeah, but there's gonna be more powers too, like a double jump or like a super jump.
Cool.
And there's just like I'm adding more stuff. I was, and you can go backwards now, which you couldn't do in the first game. You're basically gonna be able to like re-explore areas. You're gonna be able to, there's the sailing, which you see a really quick clip of the longboat. Actually, you're gonna be able to like sail to different islands.
Oh, cool! So it's gonna be a much bigger. Do you expect it to be a much longer experience?
Yeah, I'm targeting like 2+ times the length.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe around the 6-hour mark, and then maybe that's maybe like a pretty clean playthrough. Maybe if you're like blazing 5 hours, but if you do everything 7 or 8 hours, maybe.
Cool.
But there's like definitely discovery, a little bit of Metroidvania, nothing crazy, but just there's a thing I can't get to. Hopefully, I can figure it out eventually. A little bit more of that stuff. It's like the most basic game design, but it wasn't in there. And now I'm designing the game better with more little things like that, and I think it's going to add a lot.
That's awesome. I mean, this was your first time ever designing a game, right? So
I know. Yeah, I kept it simple. That was my plan. Keep it simple, stupid, and I really did. And yeah, I mean, to the point where my save system was like, you'd fall off a little ledge that you couldn't get back up. And then I would save, and all I would do was save like your health, your arrow count, your position, and like one or two other things. And that was the entire save system. And then it would load and it would just go to that position and give you the gear you had.
I will tell you, it pissed me off when I died and my tomes that I had found like reset, even if I like hit a save point again.
That is an example of a thing that I'm fixing this time. Like that save system was literally like, sorry, you got to start over because I don't know how to save this. Yeah,
that's amazing. So, in my mind, I was like, "Is this intentional? It must not be."
Oh man, yeah. I think that section is one of the rougher sections too. I think I literally gave you the hardest version of that puzzle as the first one.
Right, the first one is the hardest one. Yeah,
so stupid. I mean, I like so easily. Even that like hallway to the caves, I could have done 2 of them and then had a door open. Like, I just didn't do any of that stuff. So
yeah. The fact you had to fall on that bridge to find that one tome, and that's like in the first group of tomes. I like
torture, man.
I was so upset, but then I got through and I was happy.
I know, and I apologize. It's everybody. But yeah, I mean that stuff though, it's so great. I just every one of those little things I've like got it stored up here, and I'm making a better version of it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
I really look forward to it. I'm excited. I'm gonna definitely check out the demo, and I'll let you know if I find anything.
It's real simple. Yeah, definitely. But since you just played too, definitely jump in. Just like you more than most people will be like, you will feel how much it's changed because I don't want it to be a different game. Like I don't want to go, oh, okay, I'll make a better game. Like it should, to all purposes, feel the same, just better. You know, like this is clearly what the first one was supposed to be, kind of thing.
Right. You want the players to be able to do what they think they should be able to do within the confines of the system.
Now. Right. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that'll be awesome.
I think that's a great place to end it, Anthony, as long as you're okay with that. Anthony's back, by the way, to anyone listening in audio.
I don't know what the man Comcast this happened actually like an hour before the podcast. I'm like, fuck. Last time this happened, Comcast was out. This is pretty weird, but it was out for like 13 hours.
Wow. That's long for Comcast. Yeah.
And I don't have, you know, Skylar, I did a stand up that day with like my hotspot. I don't have great reception from my house. So it was like, I'm going to have to maybe push the podcast or something. So I'm grateful we hung it.
And we got to talk a little design, so it's fine.
Cool, perfect.
Design is like my passion. That's what I love doing for our game and everything. And
Skylar's our lead game designer. So
So when I play, that's what I'm always thinking about is design elements.
It's so fun. Doing all of it is a struggle because it's like I kept telling my buddies, like every once in a while I'm just like, it'd be really cool to just work on one part of a game, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I did that for 15 years. I don't want to do that anymore. What am I saying?
Yeah, I'm impressed that you've stuck to it because Anthony and I, originally were doing the exact same thing, and since then we've brought on 3 more team members because we were just like, if we ever want to finish the game we want to finish, it's not going to happen with just us.
And to be fair, we didn't have the prior game experience because I'm pretty sure by the time we finish this, we'll look back and we'll be like, if we knew it would be this much work, I don't think we would have started it. You know what I mean? Like we initially were like, let's do something that between the two of us, we can get done in a year. Okay. And here we are 4.5 years later, right? Like,
with a 5-person team. Yeah.
Well, from our perspective, the way we iterate on development is we run these play tests. We collect a bunch of data. We get feedback from the play tests and we decide like, we basically wrap this up. What we've got here, we just close things out. That was when I remember the first play test we did about a year after development. It was like, okay, either we put this out with like all the very obvious problems this has, or we keep going, right? Like we keep iterating, and we have the benefit that our current jobs, like, we're not in a AAA studio that's forcing us to like crunch like crazy every now and then. You know what I mean? We can work 40 hours.
To supplement.
Yeah. So it's not like it's easy, but it's,
you don't have like a deadline,
right.
you know.
And
like
this is also 4.5 years working like 10 hours, 10 to 20 hours a week, not full time. Yeah, if we had been working full time, I would love. We always look forward to the world where we can work full time. We're very envious of your full time abilities.
Yeah, it's fun. I miss coworkers a little bit, like my buddies, but otherwise it's definitely awesome.
Right on.
You just have to message Matt when you're desperate for some communication.
Yeah, I got another buddy who's doing his own solo game, and so we like get on once a week or something, and we're coworkers. We'll share what we've been working on and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on.
Anyway, where can people find you, Joe, if they want to see your stuff or?
Yeah, best place is going to be Twitter pretty much always, which is just.
How do they get on that email?
Yeah,
how do they get on that email?
Go to songofiron.com and join the email list. Yeah, that's the big one.
You guys heard it. If you
get the demo, get the soundtrack. Yeah.
Get the soundtrack. I'm telling you, get the soundtrack. I don't give a shit if you will listen to this and you're like, hey, but I know some of you in our community are going to be watching it. I only play first person shit. I don't give a shit. Like, go and sign up because you got to get that soundtrack. You love the soundtrack. And then, like I said, it was just such a. I feel like the best way. Last question. Yeah, How is it like to play your game on an Xbox? Like, you could go to the Xbox store and click on your game, and that's got to be like cool as shit, man.
You know, it's such a surreal thing that you you just don't realize what's happening. Like for any bit of this thing, you know, my buddies and my friends are just like, this is crazy what you're doing. Like, nobody's doing, like, it's so rare that people do this. And they're like telling me how wild it is. I'm like, I don't know. I've been like, it's on my dev kit for the last 6 months and it's a pain in the ass to like do. And then it's like, yeah, cool. I see it in the store. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Does the art look okay? Like, did it all turn out okay? Like, you cannot escape it. Yeah. And it's sort of, it's that like catch 22 of like, I'm making a game that I want to play, but like, I don't want to play it once I'm finished making it because I've been here the whole time. And it's like the same stuff. It's just, it's real weird. It's like such a out of body emotion, like lack of emotion about a thing that feels like it should be massive. But other little random things will pop up and it's like, I'll get really excited about it. It's just like one person responded in a certain way and that's like the best. I'm more excited about that than
or how about your game being on IGN? Like,
yeah, like that's awesome. You know, like it went onto their main YouTube channel and it's done 45 something thousand views or something. And it's just like, oh, good. Okay. The day was not wasted. Like a lot of people saw it and then seeing like a bunch of good comments in there too. And then responding to some of the bad comments or the middle ground comments I like to respond to because they're not mad at me personally about anything. So I can like say, hey man, yeah, I totally agree. I do want to fix that or whatever it might be. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I like that stuff.
So yeah, everyone sign up, get the demo, check out the first game and
Song of Iron at Song of Iron, no spaces, no nothing, simple for you guys.
Yeah, piece of cake.
Where can people find us, Anthony?
koalaentertainment.com. There you have links to all our social media. If you want to support the studio, you can check out the Patreon where they get the updates. If you want some behind the scenes updates, you're gonna have to check out the Patreon. I mean, you get a bunch of other stuff. You get free stickers, free merch, all kinds of goodness. Check it out if you're interested in supporting us. You can also, very importantly, get a link to the Steam page there. It's gonna get better. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep. Well, we are excited. We will have more to share over the course of the next year, for sure. So
keep sharing, guys.
All right.
Keep it going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll be back for another one after Song of Iron 2 comes out.
Yeah, we'll do it. Definitely.
Awesome. Right on. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks. All right.
We'll see
you guys. Right. Cheers.
Bonus.
Cheers. Joe, let me show you something really quick before you go.
Yeah. It's always a good time, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for coming. I to be honest, so there's a book I read recently, I personally thoroughly enjoyed. It's called Ride of a Lifetime. It's sort of like this his personal biography by Bob Iger. He has one quote in there. Do you know Bob Iger is the ex-Disney CEO?
Yeah,
he has this one quote about trombone oil. Okay. And I'm gonna read it to you, Skylar. You can share your thing.
So
if
I
was
at an anime whatever convention recently, and I got this sick. I just want to show you since you like Elden Ring. This Elden Ring print.
Oh, dude,
that this guy drew.
That's gnarly.
It's really cool.
Shit,
yeah, I'm hyped about it. I've got a bunch more. They had like a sexy Waluigi wearing overalls that I got from one of my friends. It was very funny.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
I will tell you though, my game. So I really loved Elden Ring, but my game of the year right now is Tunic.
Dude, so that was one of the games I bought. I've been so pumped for that game for so long. Yep. I played it for like an hour, and I was like, I'm missing something. Man.
I will tell you, it is worth keeping going. Unfortunately, and you know this well, the first half of the game is like the worst half of the game, unfortunately. Yeah. Dude, the second half of that game is like one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll watch some tutorials, like just to cheat through the first half.
Yeah. I think if you can, because it shifts very quickly from like this mostly Souls-like combat game to like a really unique puzzle and discovery kind of game.
Yeah, it is the mistake of the developers to like do sort of stuff. I learned my lesson in game one. It's just like
we kind of have learned that lesson. Yeah, I'm thinking about it over the course of our playtest. The thing that like continually gets more and more focus put to it is the beginning. Like the beginning, either from a teaching perspective, we're not doing a good enough job on onboarding people, or it's like you're saying the how compelling those first parts are. That's like seems to be one of the most challenging parts.
It's so important. Like, and some people can do it in 2 minutes, right?
Right.
Like if you guys watch Primal on the HBO Max, the like 2D,
not yet.
Fucking awesome. It's the guy who did a Samurai Jack doing his thing. There's no dialogue. So right off the bat, you've created the struggle for yourself of like telling a story. In the first 5 minutes, you're like, oh yeah, got it. Let's go. Do it, buddy. Go do the thing you got to do now. And it's just like, it's hard to do that. Not everybody can do it. I tried to do it with the wife, or the loved one. Like I just like, here you go, and now she's dead, and you're mad. Go fight.
Well, you may,
and even that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, but it's hard.
I would say it's kind of the reason why maybe it feels like it wasn't enough is because there's really two things you got to nail: the story part, which you like you said, I think was also compelling, but it's like the gameplay part too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't instill the confidence in the skills well enough. Like, so people were instantly like playing badly, like right away. I could see everybody would panic and stuff, and like that I need to get rid of that from happening.
Right. No, we've come with that exact same thing where like we notice that our playtesters love our game the second they feel competent at it, and until then it's obscenely frustrating. So we need to like get them there as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Totally. So I'm really excited to work on that, and I'm just making myself wait. Like I've got this one island, which is my vertical slice. I'm going to literally spend until the end of the year on it, and then I'm going to port it to 5. I'm going to get it on all the systems, so I know everything's working, and then I'm just going to make an island number 2, and then I'm going to go back and make the beginning. So I'll be at peak Joe skill, hopefully.
Yes, we love
pre-burnout, right before the burnout comes in and the boredom, but right when all the systems are firing on all cylinders.
Do you have a timeline you need to stick to, like to be able to get stuck in the showcase?
We're still streaming live, by the way. I just want you to know before you say anything you don't want to.
I have like an internal timeline that I'm like interested in, but it's way too early. I kind of was saying way too early last time, like, it'll be the spring of this time. I'm just not going to touch any of the vagaries yet. I kind of have what I'm targeting. I'm already thinking about slipping it. So we'll see.
But like, so they from ID at Xbox's perspective, there wasn't you didn't need to like be releasing in the next I don't know how many months to be able to get in that showcase.
No, for the showcase, no. And really, like, we don't have there's no deals in place. I'm just in the showcase with them for this one. Like, and I'm coming to Xbox. That's it for now. Like, I had an exclusivity before with the first game. So that even then, I want to work with them again. I love working with them because there was like, here's your estimated date. And I was like, hey, I'm going to move it. And they're like, all right. I mean, if you want to, go for it. It was just like, it didn't matter to them, you know, other than like, ooh, be careful not to move it like one day further than you're in this month. And then you're going to have no chance of getting in stuff because all the big games are coming or whatever. And so that was just helpful. That was not like, hey, cool you can't do it. Yeah. It was just like, hey, just heads up.
Nice.
Yeah. Would you, in hindsight, if you like, how can I say this? It's kind of a silly question. Like, if in a perfect world, are you happy with that release date timing, or like, would you have wished it was earlier in the year? You know, or
it's a good. I think it worked out in some ways, but also all these other weird ways. I think it was bad. I never had a chance of being like a top seller of the month because my biggest day was the last day of the month. And so the train after, not that I was going to make it, but just one of the, like, I don't know how the algorithms work. And there's some of them will go best game of the month for Steam or whatever. So that I will never get if I release at the end of a month. Also, it felt like people, because I was so close to all the big games, you know, it was a bit of a, probably didn't help me at all, even though I was ahead of them. People still just waiting around for the new stuff. It's a tough one though, because you don't want to launch in a dead time where people aren't even looking for games, but maybe that's at the perfect time. Right. I don't know. It's like, it's the, I don't know. And then you try it and you go, well, is this going to be the same next time? I don't even know if that's true. And so,
do you know if this game discovery newsletter, does that mean anything to you? I'm going to send you a link because I've been subscribed to the newsletter for the last like month-ish or so, and I think the insights are generally pretty helpful. I actually found out about it through, I think, a Skill Up video.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't follow him, but I've like looked up a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
Give us your trombone oil quote so we can let Joe go.
Sorry. So last thing. Why did I tell you this? Oh, because we were talking about, I was telling you thank you for coming on, and you know what, over the course of the years, another thing we've learned, one thing I begin to intuit, if you will, is this quote, which he says following. He says, this is Bob Iger speaking, my former boss, Dan Burke, once handed me a note that said, avoid getting into the business of manufacturing trombone oil. You may become the greatest trombone oil manufacturer in the world, but in the end, the world only consumes a few quarts of trombone oil a year. So he was telling me not to invest in small projects that would sap my and the company's resources and not give much back. Still have that note on my desk. I use it when talking to our executives about what to pursue and where to put their energy. So for us... like, so Skylar was saying, I usually put somewhere between like 20 to 30 hours into development outside of my full-time job, right? Or into the studio. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
But we were working on, I was putting out content every day. So like every day videos on TikTok, every day, whatever, all this stuff. That's splitting my time, right? It's like 10 hours of time towards content, 10 hours of blah, blah, blah. Long story short, including the podcast and all that stuff, it was like, yo, we're trombone oiling around right now. Okay. We always knew, that like putting out content around like sort of building the story around developing the game is something we're super passionate about and want to do, but we need to start with like the game, and the game, we've got plans for that story really to start next year. And then, some of this content makes more sense. But right now, it's like me fucking raging about some Halo thing or whatever. That like, you know what I mean? Like it's not exactly lining up. It's trombone oil, for us. So I'm thankful you came on because it helps. While it's also not the priority, we really want to keep that muscle fresh, right? For when it's needed. Yeah. And so being able to get guests on, have guests come on and keep that alive is great. So
Yeah, some of it you got to do. You know, I think it's just about focusing. I mean, we just keep talking forever about how to the indie game dev. But it's like I'm dropping Instagram, I'm dropping my Facebook, I'm barely gonna support this or that, and it's just like focus. Like I'd rather just put it all into Twitter, all that effort.
That's the trombone oil over there.
But yeah.
Yep. Cool.
So agreed.
Very cool. Well, Joe, thanks for staying late with us. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We interrupted your evening. We totally interrupted your evening. Tell your wife we're sorry. It's Skylar's fault.
She's traveling for work, so it's fine.
Hey.
Perfect day.
Happy to keep you company.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. And I actually have been bad. I still need to sign up for the demo. Totally will do that because I need that fucking soundtrack, man. I can't keep looping this.
I already have my soundtrack.
Come on, the worst part about looping on Twitter is that they fucking suck at their caching of the audio of the content, but you have to like refetch the content every play.
Oh yeah.
It's like I just played it, man. Cache that shit. So what happens is that for the first like 20 seconds of your video, it's lower quality. And then all of a sudden it kicks in good quality. I'm like, you fucking guys, like,
because they're like preloading down below, right? They're getting the next stuff.
They're predicting that you're gonna move forward, not that you're gonna rewatch.
But it's like they're like, play again. You have it. You have it here. Like, let me play it again. Like anyway, I was like, no wonder TikTok's kicking your ass. Like keep that they got that figured out. All good. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm working on TikTok. Yeah.
Yo, we've been editing on TikTok for a while. I don't know if you've seen it. Like some of those indie studios are like blowing the heck up, and
like Landfall has like an enormous TikTok.
They're the ones, right? I see them all the time.
But hey, man, there's ones that are even way more rough. And they're pulling impressive numbers, and you with like your strong presentation on Song of Iron, just throwing it out there,
Yeah, I'm going. TikTok's the way. I see it. It's so obvious. I put some animations up on it, some old animations. I got like 200K views on something right now.
Right on. Yeah.
Just going off, and it's like, of course,
those animations are dope.
Literally 3 days later, the trailer goes, and it's like 6 people watching.
Right, of course.
Just right over here.
No, there's an art to it for sure.
Yeah. Like, they don't want to see a trailer. They want to see one of those shots, just way longer.
Yeah, you show them. You get that like 10-second clip. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. They
don't want the sales pitch. They want. They want to imagine something, right?
The algorithm wants that retention. Oh, you were able to keep them around 100% of the way through your video.
They rewatched it twice.
Oh, man.
4 times. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Do some cuts like where that music gets dope. You got a banger like this nice loop. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut up.
All right, goodbye. Let's all get out of here.
See you, Joe.
See ya. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.